So the one thing that you constantly hear in Cortland, and I don't think this is unique to Cortland, is people are always saying they need to do this, they need to do that, they need to open up this new restaurant, they need to start this business, they need to take the blue roof off the building. Okay? It's always they. Well, there is no they. You know, we need to do it.
So it was built in 1827-28 by Danforth Merrick, and it was at the corner of Main, and at the time it was Cortland Street. Delos Boddard bought it in 1868, and after about 15 years in the location, he decided to invest a large sum of money into refurbishing it. I think he invested almost $19,000. That was in November of 1883. The building caught fire as the barber block next door to it burned to the ground. So it took about a year, and he reinvested money. He spent $55,000 and erected a new hotel, and that opened in the winter of 1885. As the years went on, it wasn't as well maintained. It was harder to maintain. People's expectations of things that they wanted from their hotels changed. So as time went on, it became outdated for what people needed. There was no air conditioning and other things. It was torn down in 1973, and not only did they take the hotel down, they took the whole block down with it. The whole area came down together as they tried to think of something to put in its place to modernize.
I grew up about 3 blocks away from the office. I grew up in Cortland on Chestnut Street. So I do remember driving by the building when I was a kid on the school bus. And it was kind of the new building. And at that point, as a kid, it was kind of this really weird, funky new building on Main Street. I bought Place Insurance, so that was how I ended up with this. My original plan was to move it somewhere else downtown or move it out to 281. That was kind of the thought process at the time. And I really didn't love the building, but I did like the location. I liked the fact that we had a lot of parking, and I liked the fact that it was on Main Street. You know, my main goal, my number one goal when I bought the building was that this building had a terrible problem with leaking. The roof, it leaked since day one. That was kind of the beginning when I knew we needed to replace the roof, and I certainly wasn't going to replace it and put another blue roof on. And because of the style of the building, once you got into the roof, because so much of the design element was the roof, once you got into the roof, you had to do a lot more than that. You know, we could tear the building down and start over again, or we could take what we have and we could take some historical design elements and we could incorporate them into the building.
He wanted to find a way to change the image of the building and kind of refresh the image, and I was immediately interested because as a native of the city, I remember the hotel. And I remember it as kind of a tired but important building on the corner, and I remember its demolition. And I remember the parking lot. I remember the lot being vacant for many years, which is kind of an unfortunate circumstance given the importance of this intersection in the city. The siting of the building was correct. They put the building on the corner where it should be, with the parking behind, and as such was an appropriate filling of the void of the urban fabric. Our challenge was to find a way to transform the image a little bit, and our first thought was actually to take the overhangs entirely off and build a new arcade with new masonry columns. Unfortunately, the cost of that exceeded Steve's budget. The idea of the masonry columns was kept, and we're cladding the existing steel columns. We're pleasantly surprised with the result, as there's been a lot of good feedback in the community, and that's really what it was all about.
That's going to make it more attractive. The desirability in terms of walking up and down will improve as well. And even before he started working on the building, it was obvious that Steve had a strong eye for detail. On the Groton Avenue side, he had a number of plantings, other things done to enhance the property, and he's in the midst of this major renovation. Myself, many people in the community are excited to see the final product, and I think it will enhance, like I said, the walkability of the community. Because as mayor, when you have a developer and when you have property owners like Steve who's willing to go the extra mile, it helps it helps me in terms of my job, and it helps to build that sense of pride that the community has in itself.
I've seen each step as they progress, and what they're doing and the details that they're taking to put on the facade, and it will be interesting to see what the final project will look like.
So this is it's a high visibility project, and I think it's going to basically, for all intents and purposes, look like a brand new building. So I think you're seeing the transformation right now, and I think that the nice thing is with these projects going on all at the same time is hopefully we're going to get some momentum.
People like going by places that they find attractive. That's one of the things we've tried to do with Main Street in general. More flowers, talk about the Historic Commission and holding property owners to a standard so that we know that it's an attractive place for people to visit. Steve holds himself to a very high standard, and we appreciate his eye for detail.
Oh my God.